Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last Mandalorian review ever, of season 3. I am the Force Stealer, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
I'm the clone smasher, Kirklin.
The Thrawn's still coming, Taylor Field.
All right. We'll talk about that. Anyway, so yeah, you got... as usual, you know what we're doing. Lots of reviews this week. I actually dropped an impromptu Trash Holy this week, so you go check out that. We did, what else has popped off? Side quest. A little bit later, I'm off my guns, and stuff. And I feel like today, for some reason, just more tired. Don't know why it is. This finale just took so much out of me. But then we got Evil Dead coming up. We got Beau's Afraid. Lots of good stuff happening. And then there'll be, in a couple weeks, maybe in a week or so, we'll be having some fun announcements of some changes to Patreon, some changes to the content, kind of all around and stuff. So it's going to be a fun time. Taylor, where can they find all the info when they need to find it?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with Internet Connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook.
Exactly. And head over to Patreon, get episodes ad-free, exclusive, early. Ad-free, meaning, as we talked about too, you can download the exclusive RSS ad-free feed and put that into your podcatcher of choice. There's a couple. Go to Patreon website, obviously, like a Spotify. It's a little murky and stuff like that. But majority of them, they're support. So go over there. You can insert that feed into your podcast. Or you can find a podcast app just dedicated that. You don't have to use Patreon. So you can go over there and do that. And exclusive early episodes. Next week will be an Office Space retrospective in honor of Jack Grant, who's one of our Patreon producers this month, along with Aaron Braden, April Darkness, and Joshua Wright. But yeah, he had chosen that, and you can do that. You can jump on that tier and pick a movie, and we'll review it. And I'm excited because I've not seen Office Space in quite some time, so it's gonna be a good one. So you can go do there, and everything you do by listing, supporting on Patreon, wherever, reviews, all that help comes back to GeekVerse and then goes back to you, because with that help, that creates more ad revenue and stuff like that, and then we can produce more shows for you and more content and all that good stuff. And we appreciate everyone that does listen, and we thank you for sticking with us all the time. We appreciate it. We're on season 3 of Mandalorian. Seems like just yet. Actually, doesn't seem like just yesterday. It seems like a while long ago. But yes, Kirk and Pats, I'm going to start with you. What are your non-thoughts? Non-thoughts.
I got no thoughts.
Yeah. What are
Here's
your
my
non-thoughts?
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit. I don't even know, let down by the finale. I just feel like it fell a little flat for me. I don't have the big Mandalorian season finale feeling, which I feel like this show. I don't know. I've gone back and forth sometimes with the show of delivering on the big moments, or if it's just kind of I don't know, enough Star Wars isms to. I don't even know what I'm trying to dance around here.
Non-thoughts, literal. Non-thoughts.
I got non-thoughts, literally non-thoughts. But no, yeah, it was a shorter episode, and I think it's gonna be one that I don't know. I just kind of. I don't even want to say forget about, because I am going to remember some things that happen in here, but just not really super impressed. I think I will. I think there's enough in here that I will be able to recall.
A month from now, I'll be like, tell me 3 things about the Mandalorian season 3 finale. And you'll be like, and you have to think real hard about it. You'll be like, oh, those guys were flying in their jetpacks. You remember that? They were shooting. There's a big crash. Yeah.
I'll be talking like that, like I'm in Euphoria or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think it's a complete bomb of an episode. I still think that they rounded it out decently. But I don't know. It just felt pretty rushed to me. Kind of speaks to just the overall length of the episode. But yeah, I don't know. I just think there was big moments that should have hit more, but they really didn't. I don't know. It just seemed rushed, and it was just like, okay, yeah, we're here. We're at the end. But I don't know. I'm still kind of optimistic going forward for next season, especially with just kind of what they're setting up here. But I mean, coming off last week's episode, I was saying that that's one of my favorite Mandalorian episodes ever. That one hit really, really hard. I think in the back of my mind, I was kind of expecting them to meet that, but maybe that's a little bit unfair. But who knows? Maybe it's not. It is Star Wars. It is a big IP. Maybe they should be able to be counted upon to have 2 big hitting episodes, at least for myself. But I don't think they exactly did that, but I don't know. I am glad that last week's episode happened when it did. It's not like that episode happened in the second week and then every episode after that has just kind of been flat or something like that. I feel like the penultimate having the biggest episode, I think I almost prefer that over the finale, because the finale, I don't know, you get some time to just kind of sit and I don't know, watch the sunrise. I'm trying to,
I don't think this
have
is like a Game of
non-thoughts.
Thrones House of Dragon finale, though.
No,
that's
definitely
what they're
not.
going for as far as like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna simmer on what happened last week.
True.
No
Yeah, no,
simmering
for
here.
sure. I'm
Just
I'm
put it in
excited to talk to you
microwave.
guys. Excited to talk to you guys about it, but yeah, overall, it's probably going to be one of those more mid-tier finales for me in the grand scheme of things of the show. But yeah,
Only Game says won't happen, but I would love season 4 all to be written and directed by Rick Famuyiwa, or at least for him to be given a movie. Yeah, me. I'm not all. I don't know. It's tough because like I'll transition to my thoughts where I definitely am lower on this finale. I think I'm much like other people where I don't think it's bad. It's just kind of fine. It's been a lot of rest this season, but it sucks because I'm almost the opposite of like Kirklin said. Yes, we did get that great episode last week, but that almost what makes it hurts more if you know what they can achieve, and then the next week it's like, oh, is it just a fluke now? Like is it just they just have? And of course not a fluke. Talented people working on this. I know that, but I just mean in the grand like overall top level thoughts, right? And that's where it is for me. Like with Rick Famuyiwa, there's many storylines, and I can't take credit for this. This is just what I'd be running with, and I can't remember who did it or whatnot. But there was somebody that tweeted out, and they said this season finale felt like the Mandalorian was told, "Hey, you're getting canceled. Close off all your storylines and be done." And that's what this felt like. And I think most of the storylines that closed off to me were in a very lackluster, disappointing first draft. He just kind of, what should we do? We could do that. Okay, sure. And I'm sure it's not how it actually went down. I'm sure they probably spent hours talking about it, but it didn't feel like that. If they did spend the hours as far as talking about the resolutions of 2 to 3, maybe 4 storylines, it didn't feel like that. It just felt like another day at the office. And yeah, it is kind of disappointing too, in the sense of I feel like at least with our listeners and stuff, it feels like there's a general like some that people are definitely positive on it, but I feel like the whole season has been like a good kind of snapshot of what's been going on with the fans of Mandalorian. I think this finale, everyone was like, I hate to say it, Taylor, you're like talking people up in the Discord and everything like that, and I feel like even some of those people like, yeah, I'm so excited, like Patreon Clay. The next day I was like, oh yeah, it was kind of fun. Like I feel like everyone was expecting, okay, they're gonna hit a home run here, and then they didn't, and I don't necessarily know. I think they maybe won the game, but it's one of the things I think I've used this example before where they were playing a team that had like a losing shit record and then we just barely won. It's like, hey, we won, but like that wasn't a good game. Like we should do much better. And that's how I feel about this, where I don't think the finale was bad. I don't think the show's bad. I think there's some moments in here that were fun. Unfortunately, I think they were all action moments that were the best. I don't think story moments, character moments, not really. There's some head scratching stuff in here. There's some stuff that's just disappointing. Of Myers Spores like, oh, the Dr. Pershing episode. Like, was that really needed after all this when we reveal like what the end goal of that was? No, not really. So yeah, this is a big disappointment. I think they need to really bring the guns in season 4. But I'm the opposite of Kirkland, where I'm not confident they can do that, because I feel like now where what we got set up with, I feel like how season 3 was filler. I actually feel like season 4 is going to be filler just to get us to the movie, because I feel like even the last few cents of the show, they're like, oh, this is what it's going to be about, and it's going to connect point A to point B. So no, I think this was a not a good outing for the show. Not bad, but it's just I don't have any hype now for this show coming back, and that's not a good thing. Like, they could literally say the show's canceled, and I'd be like, okay, cool, and I'd move on. It wouldn't be like, oh, what? Like, if we said we weren't going to Andor season 2, I'd be like, fuck, oh, we're not doing Ahsoka, fuck, Acolyte, even more so, I'd be like, what would you rather take, Obi-Wan or Mando? I don't need an Obi-Wan season, but at this point, like, I'd probably take over Obi-Wan, because at least there's some big moments in the finale that I think they really hit on, so, yeah, we'll see. Some people in the chat. Well, I won't read any spoilers going right now. Chat GP, write me a script for the series finale. Yeah,
I got
pretty
it,
much.
and it's popping off right now. It wrote
Save that for the end. Save that for the end. Don't do that now. Johnny Fav's writing is the main issue. Famiya wrote one episode in each of season 2, was really good. Should be given an opportunity to write a whole season. Maybe. I don't think they do that with this show because it's Johnny's show, and it's tough because I'd have to look at each episode. I don't know if he wrote this one, whoever it was. I'd have to pull it up because I fast forward to see if there were credit scene, there was none. I was like, okay, I'm good. I can say goodbye to Mandalorian, especially with the writer strike supposedly going to happen. We might not get Mandalorian for like another 2-3 years and stuff if that goes through. So it's fine for me to say bye. So Taylor Field, usually the most positive here. What did you think of the closing out of Mando season 3?
Last week's penultimate episode was definitely better than this, I would say. Now, I mentioned this in our Discord. I shot myself in the foot because I established certain expectations that I thought, like, through just discussion and just it seemed logical to me that they were going to go this route with certain things, and when they didn't go that route, yeah, it was just for me it hurt, but that is my own fault. I can't let that detract from how the episode performed in its own right. Now, it was short. I did not feel at all like it was rushed in that sense. Like, and when I say rushed, I don't mean like rushed how they told the story, but rushed like, okay, this totally feels like it was 30 minutes or something like that. It didn't feel like it was 30 minutes. I felt like I was in this ride for a full like 45 to 50 minutes. It felt long, which is good, but they were jumping from like point to point to point. You could definitely tell in certain combat sequences, like, okay, we're kind of skipping that. I did it twice. They did it over one sequence, which I really, really wanted to see, which was quite a shame. But there we are. So all in all, I really did like the action. I liked how we kind of got things kind of concluded. But for 2 seasons worth of buildup, and when I see everyone talking online about like, oh, yeah, it was so good to just have all these storylines finally wrapped up, I'm thinking, yeah, I guess, but you spend 2 seasons building it up just for it to be like concluded in one episode. That doesn't make sense to me.
You see, Taylor, those are people that they consider sex like they're just quickie people. They're just like a 2-minute like pump and jump. Yeah, 2 pump jump. Like, yeah, woo! I showed her a good time. I showed him a good time.
People.
Yeah, that's to me the people that enjoy this finale. Of course, I'm joking, but that's sort of to me when I hear like, yeah, I like that all wrapped up. Like, really? All right, I guess I like to take my time and enjoy the experience and do a whole plethora of things. You know, it's not about the end; it's about the journey. But alas, everyone has different journeys on that road.
You heard it here first. If you like this episode, you're a 2 pump chump.
Yeah, if you like this episode, you're bad at sex. Done. No one's ever oh no, this episode's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
no.
I didn't love it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode again in the future just to kind of properly figure out where I sit with it. But at this point, it's not by any means at the bottom of my list for like any of these Mandalorian episodes. I do really enjoy Mandalorian season 3. I think there was a lot of stuff that really worked for me.
It's not the bottom of this season. What would be your bottom?
This episode is not the bottom. That's a good question.
Pershing.
No, not Pershing, because there. Like, I liked being on
Jack Black and
Coruscant.
Lizzo all the way, man. That's definitely the bottom. It's definitely last.
I knew
have
what
to
your bottom was.
But I feel like I don't know what Taylor's bottom would be then. I feel like that would be it, and not because of them. I'm
The
just mean
Lizzo
like
one?
the Lizzo and Jack
No,
Black
that was
one,
like
yeah.
such a prequel episode. Dude, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
it
lots
was
of bad
clone
stuff in the
stuff.
prequels.
No, I really did enjoy that one because
Okay,
again, just
then
the
what's
droids
your
and stuff
bottom?
like that.
Cop out? Or it's this one. It might be the finale. You might just say it's the finale.
I'm just looking. I'm trying to remember. Like, the names don't do justice because I'm looking at
See?
them now.
He
I'm
doesn't
trying to
even remember that, and that's why.
Chapter 20, Taylor. Chapter
No.
21.
No,
See, that's like
maybe
Kirklin.
it
Like,
was
oh, I remember this
the-
finale. Taya's already forgotten the season so far. He's like, I don't even know what these episodes are.
No, because they're just kind of all meshed together. But I think it'd be the Minds of Mandalore one because I think that one was pretty simple when he just goes to Mandalore and it was just very, very basic. Like, he's
Like
with
the episode with him and Bo?
R4. No, that was when he goes off and he gets captured. Yeah, and he falls in the water. That's when Bo comes in at the very end.
Oh yeah, I guess I like to see Mandalore and whatnot. So fair enough, you know.
But again, like, it's in terms of like remembering things, like
The Grief Cargo Massacre episode that could have been Espo's, but because of our meme stats that episode now, no, it's
It's
definitely
like top 2. Come on.
Yeah, it's definitely like that inspired me of we did the Mando season 1 commentary tracks. And hey, if writers go on strike, you bet your fucking ass commentary tracks are coming back. If we have like a year of no content, we're gonna, and I would be I'd be excited to rewatch that with the boys. So I think in conception maybe, but like because it almost has like a so bad it's so good sort of way. So
brilliant.
Brilliant. Bloody brilliant.
Yeah, so, and then just to clarify, all game says Favreau wrote the finale and the rest of the season's episode. So I guess Follow Me You did last week. And then Filoni did one, right? He did the one with Ahmed Best. So, yeah, Favreau, I think, has a very topsy-turvy career. I think he has definitely more wins than misses. And there's tons of stuff that he's been a part of that was great and everything. So,
Filoni did 2.
oh, okay. I was
Not
like,
just
what the
the
fuck?
one.
You used
Gang
the finger.
signs.
Yeah.
He
Hey.
co-wrote with Favreau the penultimate episode.
The penultimate episode?
Yeah,
So last week's episode.
last week's, and then he did the one that you mentioned with.
Did Follow Me You write last week's episode?
No, he didn't write any of them. He just directed last week's.
What the fuck you
and
talking about
this
then?
week.
All in the game. he could be directing
Jean-
them, but like
John
like,
Favreau wrote every single one, and then he had like Noah Clore and then Dave Filoni. Those are the only other 2 people that helped write a couple.
yeah,
episodes.
because then
That's
you could still attribute to hey the last week banger some of those moments. That's Favreau, right? Like the bass in the Mandalorian. That's Favreau's idea, right? So that's what it's like. I just think it was not a. I don't know. I don't think they don't have it planned out. I know they said they don't have an end. Now they have the movie, so who knows how much of that was true, or maybe Favreau doesn't have it planned out, but Filoni does. I just again felt like this was a filler season, and maybe they just, I don't know. Maybe they have to hit a certain quantity of like 8 or whatever. How was it 8 episodes this season?
Yep.
Is that what it was? Yeah, 8. So maybe they just feel like they have to hit that, but maybe this could have been better as a 6th season. I think you could do that. Not saying it has to be 6 like Marvel Disney, but just kind of go with what the story is. So. Anyways, we'll take our first ad break unless you guys have anything non-spoiler to add. No, we'll take our first ad break so you've not seen the episode. Go watch it, come back, and then we will break it all down because there is lots to talk about. So we'll be right back. Yeah. Get in big trouble. And we're back. So I don't... I feel like there's different sections. You got like the... Go ahead, Kirklin. I heard
I was just gonna say,
Xenomorph
Moff Gideon. He's gonna be
Let's
the
start
villain
Moff.
next season, isn't he?
Probably, because there's like 3 ways. So let's start there because I feel like that's one of the more controversial things as far as like it all ending, right? So for season 1, season 2, whatever, Moff needs Grogu. He's after Mando, all this stuff. He's after the Darksaber, which we'll get to that as well. But like the main thing is he's after Grogu, right? And it's like, what's the idea? And last week we saw all these tanks, and it's like, man, this is going to be very interesting. Like, what's in these tanks? What's happening? And then there was a point where in this episode, he goes back to those tanks. And even when it was far out, I could clearly see, oh no, that's Moff Gideon. And I'm like, okay, I got to wait for the zoom in. But I got to wait for the zoom in, but I'm pretty sure it's Moff Gideon. Zoom happens to Moff Gideon. Now, that's not a point off, but it's like, okay, that's a little disappointing, but what could it be? And I thought, okay, maybe it is an idea of he's testing clones and stuff like that. I'm not trying to build up expectations, but just, while I'm watching episodes going, okay, what could it be? And then Mando finds them. Apparently, I think, what's his name, insinuates that he fucks with the clones or something, right? Like he decommissions them or something, and he has some weird line off Gideon where he's just like, maybe I'll pull it up on Disney Plus. He's just like, you tampered with my projections or something. I'll find the line. But anyways, so the big reveal is Moff's been cloning himself. He needed Dr. Pershing, Grogu, all this stuff because he wanted to clone himself so he could get the Force. And oh man, that to me was just like a big, just Favreau trop trow and just shat on the episode if he's the one to blame. And before we go just to the last one, Only Game says, Follow Me wrote 2 episodes previous season, should be given opportunity to write the entire season. Thought it was pretty straightforward, my bad. Yeah, no, I understand. I would like to see him tackle more of the show. I just like, same thing, like the good and bad of this year, like the penultimate, that's Favreau too, right? So I'd have to see more because at the same time, if he directed both, he directed a great episode, then he also directed a meh episode, right? So who knows? But yeah, so Kirklin, you feel like that's, I guess that's the reveal of like, why do they need Grogu, the cloning stuff, and it was just for Moff Gideon,
It was something that if you look at even from the first
Yes.
season of Mandalorian.
He
He doesn't actually shoot it out though, doesn't he?
I
I
didn't
thought
see
he
him
like
shoot
typed
it.
something
He
on the
sets it-
computer.
He says
They
it's
just like
self-destruct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I'll find the line. Moff just had this weird, it just sounded like someone taking his virginity line, whatever he said. But
Well, he just said something like, "Oh, you snuffed them out before they could take their first breath."
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very
it
much
was
his children. He had like tears in his eyes too.
very
like he was
Jesus-y type of feel. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
here we go, So, and yeah, those are all gone, but
but like yeah, like all of those motivations from like Moff Gideon, even from season 1, like it is kind of leading to this, but I just felt like it was, I don't know, it wasn't revealed nicely at all. I feel like there is a I feel like there is a scenario where like the same thing kind of happens and it is satisfying. It's like, oh wow, like he almost got his force sensitive clones to really come and pop off and just take over the galaxy, whatever his motivation is. But I feel like they just didn't really touch upon too many of like the big details of like what that was until just like they were all murdered. It was just like, oh wow, really? And I don't know, it just seemed like I blinked and they were all dead, and there was no
Yes.
like major threat of them like actually like coming and using the force. It was just like the line just really didn't work for me either, because like they were already dead and I didn't even like see that threat. It was just
Yeah.
like he could have said like, oh yeah, they all had giant lightsaber cocks too, and I was gonna unleash them on the galaxy, but
Wow.
I didn't get to see that because it was like it could have been anything. It was just like an empty threat, I felt, because it was just so easily like I was kind of shocked that he did just like hack into the network or whatever, and they just all like started
It was
exploding.
just
Especially like that one had like a Bilbo moment when he like like
yeah.
did the little jump scare, but. I mean, I don't know. It was just really, really strange for me.
That's what I couldn't believe when they reveal those, and then the next line is him talking about how you like decommission them or kill them. So like, oh, those clones are gone now. Like, and like
Yeah.
now I do think there's a chance whether the fire didn't kill him or literally it's a clone, because there's a big theory of all those clones didn't have mustaches. Our main Moff didn't have a mustache, so the idea is, well, the actual Moff has a mustache. So I do, and like again, to me, even more so if Moff comes back, I'm just so uninterested because this reveal, and also just like we've done this now, that'll be the 4th time in a row. And guess what? I think he's coming back. He's for sure
I
gonna
think
come
so as
back. And
well.
but it was just such a. It just felt like they had a storyline and they just like erased it and went, no. It reminds me of the story where when they're doing Rise of Skywalker and they're changing things all the time. And that line, because I just watched it recently, where Driver has to reveal that Rey's a Palpatine, and they had him like a month or two before the movie come out, like he was in his house closet recording this line because they had like changed things. So he was just like in his house recording it on his phone. And they put that in the movie, and that's what this felt like. It's different because he had no mask, but just felt like he could have said anything just to get like just to end this storyline. So it was like, oh, those were my clones. You killed them all. I won the Force. Let's fight. It's like, oh. Okay, so Taylor, because you were agree, or it sounds like you're in agreement with us as far as some of these storylines. Is this one storyline that you felt was a little lackluster ending as far as this 3-season build up to this? If this is the reveal that Moff Gideon he just won the Force, I guess
I think that this was really wacky and crazy in every which way that I really liked. I feel like an Imperial warlord to be tackling something like this, he wants to give himself midichlorians, get the Force, create these clones of himself. This felt like Star Wars Legends in a nutshell for me. It felt so wacky. It felt very Star Warsy. Could it have been a little bit more refined and a little bit more extended? Yes. I would have loved to have seen one of these Force users just go to town against like Din Djarin. That would have been super cool to witness, but fortunately we didn't get that, and I think it is because of some of the points you guys highlighted. But all in all, I thought it was very cool. It should have been extended a little bit more because yes, 2 seasons worth of build up towards this cloning and what they want Grogu for. There's a lot to take in with that, and just to kind of have it disbanded so quickly is unfortunate, but I love the concept of it. I think that's super, super sinister for him to be doing something like that, and it just adds more to that Shadow Council meeting we had where all these warlords are just thinking for themselves and very imperialistic too. It was not at all what I was expecting, and so when I saw them in the tanks, it was super freaky. And I can't imagine what these things would be like how you can isolate the Force in a Jedi like that. Again, I feel like it does touch upon like the midichlorians, but they didn't say it.
that's what it is. Like that's the part. Like that's where I am. I'm caught all around it too because I don't like the concept of you could just surgery the Force out, but technically when they did midichlorians, it's tied to like your blood and shit. It's like, well, I guess technically you could do that. I don't know. I don't like that. But it fits in the world at the same time as we don't know for sure if those clones, like, were they successful, like getting the Force? We don't know that. And even then, I just feel like the Force is powerful, but it's also just I don't think it's the like I don't think just Moff Gideon getting the Force. Like, sure, he definitely is more powerful and get a lot more done, but I don't feel like he just like wins. You know, like, and that's why I feel like it's an odd thing to be like he needs the Force. Like, it's just, and maybe it's just I needed like I wish that that Pershner episode we got was Moff Gideon episode. And we could have seen like why he really would have wanted to use the Force, what his plans would be, but it just feels very just kind of classic mustache twirly. And again, maybe I'm overthinking it because hey, look, that's lots of Star Wars, right? Palpatine's just a bad dude, Vader's just a bad dude for the most part. It's just when you got a show, and that's kind of the idea of a show of like, okay, you get multiple episodes to flesh out stories, characters. So when the bad guy's plot is just kind of what you would see in a 2-hour movie, you go, oh, that, and especially this is season 3. This is like, I feel like I'd almost be more fine if this happened in season 1. Obviously that'd be very reduced, but just like I wouldn't have had time to grow into like, okay, what is Moff up to? But now I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I go watch season 1 and I just know the end result is he just wants the Force, which I guess sure, like it's all right, but it's not I don't know, it doesn't make me look back at this other seasons more fonder, so
He's just really obsessed with Jedi. He's all about the dark saber. Now he wants to get the Force, and I don't know, dressing with cloaks and all that stuff. He's got a flavor for sure. It was funny because I was watching this with Shay, and I think she's only ever seen like one other episode in this season. And like as soon as like the fire went on, like even before I say anything, she's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be back next season." Like you didn't actually see his whole body. Like, and I'm like, yeah, and I feel like Star Wars is totally gonna just like they're gonna love the opportunity to just have a different version of like Giancarlo of like with like the burn mark or something, just like
More
a
Black
new
Series figures.
yeah, like a new
yeah.
version of him. And
don't give him that Black Series figure looks bad enough. Don't give him burn marks from that Moff Gideon Black
they're
Series
gonna
figure.
do
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like even before we got there, like when I just saw all the tanks, I'm like, oh man, like we are never gonna get rid of Giancarlo if we have all these
Yeah.
different like clones of him. Now, of course, like they didn't last too much longer after that, but
But
yeah,
we don't know. You can have another base with them, right? Like I feel like if
there
they
could be
wanted,
more clones
yeah.
than was even shown there. Like it
Yeah.
could be like a whole Camino situation where he's just got thousands of them. I don't think
He
they're gonna go
literally-
that far, but
He literally could have bottled one up and like shipped it back to his house, and it's like in 2 weeks if I don't come back, this pot opens up and you get all my like that's where like I one way or another, whether it's an original Giancarlo and this was a clone, whether he just survived the fire, whether one of these clones comes out of a pod, I don't think we're done with him and stuff. And like
No, he'll come back and you'll think it's the same one, and he'll use the Force and be like, "Oh shit, it's one of the clones."
And it's kind of funny because like I suppose made that comparison. It is very similar, like the Kang situation, right? Like that's the pitch is like, hey, you kill this Kang, but then another one comes and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, we'll see. And yeah, Clay, so yeah, we talked about that. I've seen the theory that that's not the original Moff, and sure, I guess now I just don't. I already didn't want him back so much this year, and now if I know his end game is just to be a Force user, because that's what I feel like is going to happen. Is the next time we see Moff Gideon, he will be a Force user, and that's going to be the big turning point as far as Mando's going to go fight him, and then he'll like Force push him and shit like that. And I think maybe you could get him in the movie because that's a good way you can have Ahsoka fight him, stuff like that. So that's kind of my prediction is you'll get Moff, and that's going to be their hook to make it. Oh, but Moff Gideon's different this time. He has the Force and everything, and I don't have any interest in that at all, and that just makes me more just not looking forward to what's going to happen. Because, and again, I just don't like that schematic of how the Force. It shouldn't be that you can just inject and reject it. Obviously, I don't think that's happened for George, but like I said, you can make the case if it's tied to your blood, that's like a surgery. But yeah, guarantee you're going to see Moff Gideon Force pushing people in the future, and sure.
I would say that the Moff in this season finale was the original, just because why else would they choose to rescue him? I mean, if it was a clone, I don't feel like they would have rescued a clone if they got other copies of that one. And also, this one didn't exhibit the Force, because when he went to grab his saber weapon off the ground, Grogu just Force pushed him all over the place. Like, he didn't use the Force at all to pull anything towards him. He just was very
but that's what I said.
monotone
Like
about it.
another one in the future. Like
No, the other one.
clone.
I'm talking about this one though. Like this,
Yeah.
I think this was the OG one in this finale.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you don't know if all those clones worked and the Force worked with them, right? All those clones could have popped out of the tank and tried to do the Force. Like, oh, we don't have it yet, right? Like, it's not perfected.
True, but I think at this point that's too in depth for this show. I think that
Yeah.
ship sailed.
It's also too in depth, but it's also just shit that they just make up in this show. They'll just make things up. Like we'll get to how Grogu gets
That's
adopted in
true.
this episode, and like your point of like they wouldn't have saved the original one. How do you know they just didn't save the original one and he's off in a bunker somewhere while the clone one's out here? You know, like let's say he's in that ship because remember, could have been we don't know this fucking trial. Oh, he didn't. He was on the way to his.
But then
his-
use it as a decoy, and then you're set, right? Just
No,
let
but
him
I'm
go to
saying, like,
trial.
I get, but maybe that's the thing of like they hadn't done the cloning yet. So let's say he's captured. He needs to get this cloning done. He hasn't done yet. He's captured. They break him out. They bring him to this thing. They clone him. Okay, good. The cloning worked. Clone goes over there. Moff, you go back and hide. It's that simple. It's one line of, well, the clones weren't ready yet, and now they are. And now it's just like, I almost would like it better if next season, if they go all out and like a bunch of people land, they take their helmets off, and it is just a bunch of John Carlos at the same time. Like if it's just like 20 John Carlos, like 20 Moff Gideon, stuff like that. Maybe not the Force, say that didn't work, but I want them now to get more, like, if we're not going to really be telling to me great stories, get more wacky. If you're going to be more Clone Wars cartoony, get that way. Get fucking 20 John Carlo Espositos and have Mando and Ahsoka and Bo fight them all. You know, like, have some fun with it. But
Like an Agent Smith fight scene just with
absolutely.
Jean Carlos.
Yes, make all those guys, and maybe you don't have to have them all their masks off. Maybe for a second they have them off, and then they put, because they even introduced them having a helmet gear, right? All you need is like one seeing them off, and they all put it on, and those are all Moff Gideons. Like I think that's kind of fun, you know.
Part of me thought that there's going to be like a reveal with are they just Imperial Guards, the red guys? What are they called?
Oh, the Praetorians?
The Praetorian Guards. For a moment, I thought like one of their helmets was going to get knocked off. It was just going to be like a Giancarlo clone or something. Like that's his elite bodyguard is just himself. But I was just going on the far end of the clones. Where maybe they have to go that direction, like you were saying, Travis.
That note of the Praetorians, I just laughed because they're super cool, but just how they slow mode strolled out again, it just made me laugh, particularly because I tweeted out like when they walked out to fight Paz Vizsla, I was like 3 tickets for Barbie, please, and it just makes me laugh. So when I see the same scene but from the front, I was just like, oh, 3 more tickets for Barbie. It's just a stupid thing I was thinking of.
And it's like they don't even stroll out, but even in Last Jedi, they like don't move that fast to Rey and Kylo. Like they don't run at them; they like approach them and then start fighting. So it's that armor. It's probably just too heavy to run. You know, you just break a sweat. So
that I guess like segueing with that, when they jumped off of Din and went to Grogu, I did enjoy that because it felt very like high stakes here. And when they were in that room, I like seeing Grogu being in the situation alone and jumping around because I thought, okay, like this is cool because we've seen a lot of Luke's reflections imprinted on Grogu and in terms of him being, and I feel like this is one of my favorite things with Grogu's development throughout this season, is him being more Jedi-like, with Mando saying so many times, like, hey, he didn't learn that from me, when he's stopping like fights and he's just doing different things. He's like, he's being a peacekeeper, and I like that. And so in this sense here, if he didn't have that training with Luke, he would have been executed. He's jumping around. He's using things that Luke taught him to do, like pushing weapons away, moving the guards away, jumping around, and I loved every single bit of that. So I liked how it was a good callback to, you know, Luke's training saved his life here.
I knew it was gonna happen, but I was like, man, could you imagine they just had these guards fuck up and kill Grogu? You know, like that's
It's like gang beat him too. Not even like a clean kill.
Mando's just watching through the glass as they're just like arm by arm and
Jason
stuff.
in the sleeping bag, smash him on the tree.
Yeah.
See like guts going flying everywhere.
Yeah. This your king? This your king?
Oh god, it's so dark.
It's fine. It's tough with Grogu at this age when he's still like the animatronic and like the way he moves doesn't always look the most natural, so it kind of takes me out. But like it worked. He's learning. He's a bit more battle tested, so it was fine. It wasn't like a yay, I loved it or I disliked it. It was just kind of there, and I'll forget about it in a week.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because I did like the Jedi moments of him actually like evading them and everything, but I just couldn't help but like laugh like the opening of that that sequence because like the Praetorian guards are like focused on Din and then they just like see Grogu and just like go for him, and Grogu is in the fucking robot and just like his movements with it, like it was as if he was just like, oh no, but he had like little robotic arms. It was just really humorous for me for some reason, and I think it was also just like, I don't know, people probably love it, but I just felt like Din's like no, like just his like reaction to it was just like really, really silly in my eyes. But I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that sense.
Could you imagine if he didn't choose the Beskar armor that's served no purpose for him yet at this point, but if he actually chose Yoda's lightsaber and if he pulled that out in that moment and was fighting oh my
Well, I
goodness,
think
that was cool.
Oh, I think the point is he
Soon
didn't get
enough, Taylor.
I guess, but I feel like I thought he didn't get to choose the lightsaber if he left. You know, like I feel like Luke wouldn't have been like,
No,
hey,
but
fuck you,
I know
I'm not giving you that.
totally. I just feel like if
like,
if they
stole
didn't
it
go
from
that
Luke?
route, and no, they didn't go that route. He stayed with Luke, but then like he called
yeah.
out for help, and then he's like, okay, yeah, we'll go. And you see Grogu like doing this like fight sequence with the lightsaber. I honestly thought when he was jumping up and around, I was getting like flashbacks to Yoda jumping around with Count Dooku. I was thinking,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is gonna be so good, but. Yeah, he
It's-
chose the plate armor.
Yeah, it's just tough because, like I said, his body's stiff, so it's just they almost need to do like a time jump and age him up like a little bit, so then the next time we see him, and he like, I like whatever people may feel, but I feel like you do need to. I don't know. In Last Jedi, you have Yoda. They brought him back, and he was the puppet version, right? But again, that's when he's like very old and about to die in that sort of realm. If he's ever gonna fight, I think it'll just be very odd for him to be a puppet, and then you just switch to CG. Like I feel like soon you do got to get to the point where he's pretty much fully CG. You know, like maybe you have the model there, and that's the same thing. Like I would have liked the idea of the lightsaber, but I couldn't imagine that little puppet holding a lightsaber and it like looking good. You know, like that's my
Yeah.
worry. Like, how do you make him? Because already when he's running, he does this like box spring. Like it's like, okay, I get it. He's an animatronic. There's only so much you can do, but that's where probably why they are avoiding the lightsaber because you can't. They can't move him like that. They can't move him to make it look good, or it would switch to CGI, and maybe you can do that effortlessly. And I'm down, but I thought he was maybe going to talk in this episode where they were saying, "Oh, he doesn't even speak yet." But
No, he spoke at one point,
He
like
speaked.
very lightly,
Yeah.
alluding to it. But yeah, unfortunately, nothing.
I was just worried he's going to bust out like a full-on like sentence when she's like, "He can't even talk for himself," and I just be like, "Yes, I can, bitch," you know. But obviously that didn't happen. Obviously, we're skipping some stuff, but like because we're talking about Grogu, we had that at the end where I don't know this fucking show. So they're fucking some guy. They're doing their baptisms, right? Some kid was that Ragnar?
That
It
was
Ragnar.
Ragnar.
He never got
Oh,
his
yeah.
first one, so
Good job. So
Ragnar, no.
you lost your father, but here's some water, kid. Anyway, so Ragnar he gets baptized. Bring Grogu down. Okay, so Grogu's gonna be a foundling now. Yep. Okay. Well, sorry, he can't because his parents have to give permission. And I was so fucking worried that the armor was gonna be like, you have to go find his family now. I thought for sure that was coming, and I was ready to fucking punch my TV like those TikTok memes. Like if she had been like in season one, like, well, find out where he came from. But anyway, so well, no, you know, he can't do that because his family needs to approve, and that's what's gonna happen. And then Mando goes, well, I'm just gonna adopt him and make it happen. And Armor goes, all right, sure. And that's it. Like that's like they introduce this problem, this like code, like, well, a parent, his guardian has to be the one to say he can get baptized, become a Mandalorian, a foundling, or whatever it is, an apprentice. Well, what if I just say he's my kid? Yeah, that works too. It just like there's no stakes in these like lore, and that's where I know some people they've been like, oh, one of my favorite things is the Mandalorian lore, right? But that's where when it's shit like that, where it's like, hey, we have this rule. Well, what if we just do that? Okay, this is the way, and that's it. Like they just throw it out. So that to me felt like it was I wish it would have hit me more emotionally, but I think the way that they layered that scene did not work for me. It just felt, just don't introduce that then. Just fucking he's his son now. Like, why as a writers did they even introduce this whole, well, you can't do it unless don't have that rule. Don't do it. Like, it's weird writing. It's weird choices. It's things that take me out of it where I go, this is like it's literally you could go in a straight line, but you choose to zigzag or go around twice, you know? So I wish it impacted me, but again, just didn't get me there, unfortunately. And it should have, because I like the journey they've been on, but
I agree. I felt the exact same way, but it was mostly just because I was like, like is he not already his son? Like I like I felt like we had already done this before.
Yeah.
Where
What's he
like,
doing this whole season with you then?
yeah, like well, this whole show has just kind of been this relationship amongst them of like a father type figure, like looking out for him. So what, like in that moment, when he's like, "Well, then I'll adopt him," and I'm like, "Have we already done this? Like, why do we have to have these like tenets to stick by if they just seem so flexible?" Kind of to your point there, Travis. Like, yeah, there really is no stakes in that moment, and like I think it was mostly just like, okay, this is how in next season, this is why Din is not going to be like with all the rest of the Mandalorians.
Oh, 100%. Like, it was so funny when, like, I'm like, okay, because I literally said this whole season is just to get us to Mandalore. And I'm like, hey, I think the season's filler, but we're here. Great. What are we going to do? What's going to be our adventures? What's going to be our time on Mandalore? This finale again. Well, just like when you were a foundling, you got to go and do some jobs or whatever. It's like, okay, so we're going to see Mandalore like 2 to 3 times, and it's just back to season 1. All right, so that it didn't frustrate me as much as if it would have been the Find His Family, but yeah, the idea of now we're just leaving Mandalore again. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this is where I want to be. Like, this is where the exciting, some fun stuff could happen. Like, we still haven't even dived fully into these 2 different cultures living together, what that could be like. But no, the next time we see them, they're all going to be fucking hunky dory and stuff like that. So,
Well, I'm indifferent on that because, again, how they've worded it, where the show is no longer just about Din Djarin, but it's kind of branching out about like many Mandalorians now. I'm kind of thinking like, okay, maybe that's going to be taking a back seat, the Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe it is going to focus on the armor and Lady Kryze and all these other characters on Mandalore, and then we'll just have the Mandalore. Yeah, Ragnar.
Yeah, Ragnar
We'll
for
have,
sure. He's gonna be the main character next year. Fuck.
we'll have Mandalorian, Din Djarin, and Grogu kind of just popping in here and there throughout the next season. Although it's it's convoluted because I do agree a little bit, but because I don't like how it is kind of gone back to square one, because I feel like we've built so much just to kind of go back to the very beginning like that. Like, it kind of defeats most of the events that have taken place throughout the first and second season. Because if you take out everything that's happened and just go and throw this episode in at the end of that first one where the armor's like, hey, go off and find his people, you could just change the dialogue with like, hey, I'll just adopt him. And they're like, okay, yeah, you don't have to go find the Jedi or anything like that. Just go and do your missions. And that is a shame because, it, again, like I said, it defeats the purpose of so many of the adventures that we've had. But then again, it's take it with a grain of salt. It's not a make or break for me. I like that he is adopted. I like that he's Din Grogu, which good to know that Din was the last name because I definitely did not think that.
Yeah, it could have. I get it because I had seen people say that's Mandalorian lore that you take the last name as the first name and stuff like that. It's a mouthful. I'm not calling him Din Grogu. Fuck that. Like, I'm not. Like, he's Grogu. Like, I'm not gonna call him Din Grogu. It's just like a weird thing. But I get it. That's their Mandalorian thing. And yeah, baby, why didn't, like Johnny Gunn said, why no one adopt Ragnar? You know, you my mommy. Like, why not? You know. And then
could you imagine if like Din just like adopts Ragnar as well? He's like, well, then I'll adopt Grogu and Ragnar.
Yeah.
Like that's the trio.
And
going
Bo-Katan, and he just keeps trying to adopt everybody. Like, you only get 2, man. You get the orphans. Pretty sure Armor is called Grogu's son is his son and Din his father. Which, yeah, I think there's, even if it's not like, but like you're his dad, I feel like it's been insinuating stuff like that. Let's see. I answered this. Yeah, Travis already answered this, but Kirklin here, this season was a casualty of Pedro and Last of Us. Was Last of Us worth it to have season 3? Now, again, I said this was in our GOA chat. I said if the quality of this is because Last of Us, then yeah, absolutely it's worth the sacrifice because all Last of Us has been better than all 3 of these seasons. But I still don't think it really was. He was just the voice. Like, my issues with Moff Gideon, the Darksaber, which we'll talk about, this Grogu stuff, that has nothing to do with Pedro being on set. Even the Bo-Katan stuff, it's like, give us more of her story instead of like, you know, this fucking droid episode, which I know some people like, but again, that's where it comes down to preference, right? I would have preferred a couple more just purely character-based development episodes. Same thing now. The Pershner thing, I agree with Taylor. Like, I like that episode seeing the slice of the New Republic, but I think there could have been a way to do that with our characters and not just these random ones, which, especially now, it looks like... like we talked about this, like, who's the spy? Is the Armor the spy? Is what was your guy's name, Taylor? The Rock guy?
Axe Wolves.
Axe Rocks or whatever. Like, who's the spy? it really just was that girl that was with Pershing, like that command, like that's the spy in the New Republic, right? It's like, oh, cool, like it's just
Again,
such a deflating of like why I don't know. It's a weird thing.
That's again another thing, like the whole Thrawn situation, and it just comes down to expectations. I went onto social media and I see other people saying, "Oh, that title said spy, so it could be the armor, it could be this and that." If I totally just disregarded and didn't pay any mind to any of that, then it wouldn't have detracted it from me. But seeing everyone freaking out about it, I thought, okay, well, yeah, maybe there is merit to this, and so yeah, let's look back into this. I went back and reviewed these episodes. I went back and rewatched like that penultimate one many times, just kind of like analyzing it and was honing in. And then you start backtracking throughout season 1 and 2, and I was getting so invested in it. And it was, again, my own expectation that defeated me, because there was nothing. There's nothing bad with it. I'm thinking in this episode, Axe Wolves is on the bridge of this light cruiser. He's telling everyone
alone
to leave.
for a while. Yeah.
He was. Is he gonna like just say, okay, I'm gonna turn the light cruiser on his own teammates here? Like, what's going on? Or okay, we haven't seen the armor yet, but no. So Axe Wolves, like, he goes and starts shooting the interceptors down. The armor is like, your team is with you, Lady Kreese. You get the whole Mandalorian fleet.
Yep.
So
I was wrong about that. I thought for sure.
Yeah.
No, and I was really excited about the idea of the armor being on the other side, and no, she did really have to first aid those people, and now she's back. It's like, okay, that's what we're doing, I guess.
Which I definitely like that. I definitely really I'm happy about that, because I'm glad to see the Mandalorians team up finally and not get just fucked up from their own.
I definitely, I feel like I maybe will grow to to be with you there, Taylor. I just feel like it was spicy, like that scenario that we were kind of pitching of there being this deceit amongst them, and like it's not all just falling into place nicely, kind of like how it actually happened. I just wanted some difference there, and just something that. It's like, well, it's all nice, except this person was behind this, and it just leaves some discourse heading into next season. Because then, that's something to be like, holy shit, I can't wait to see how this unfolds next season, of just this deceit. I was really hoping for an end credit, kind of in that vein, because I was with you, Travis. I was really thinking that there's gonna be some sussery with the armorer. Not so much Axe Woes, but definitely like in this episode, there was a great opportunity for him to do some just sketchy shit of like getting everybody off the bridge. And I'm like, this is it. They're totally going in this direction, because it seemed like they were kind of planting the breadcrumbs in that direction. But it was just like, no, this is a very safe show. Everything's gonna be happy by the end of it. Mandalore's completely fine. And it was just like, okay, I guess that's fine. And I'm sure there's many people like Taylor that totally like really like that it went that way. But I just wanted something spicy, something to just have me like, I don't know, telling people that they need to watch the show for this reason. It's almost like make the comparison of like a House of the Dragon sort of thing, how it's like there's so many just complex things going on, so many players that have different motivations all at once, and it just makes it so fascinating to watch. And I think I saw a scenario that we had that in this show, but no, it didn't go that way. It's super safe, and the armor was just completely not sus. And it was just like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like last week when you made that post about ass rocks, and I was like, that was your pick of who the spy was, and I was like, yeah, like I don't really think that guy's gonna be it. And then on the episode,
what'd you call him? Ass rocks.
Ass rocks.
Axe Woes.
Oh, ass robes. Okay, so anyways, so when he got like a little highlight in this episode, I was like, oh fuck, Taylor's gonna be right. And I never told Taylor. I didn't say, oh, that's a bad pick. I just looked at him like, I don't think so. I was like, I don't think they were going that way. But when it started, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to tell Taylor he's right. But then no, it wasn't. It was just the Jack girl from a couple episodes, which is funny because like we even did talk about that, right? Where last week we said technically the information that Moff Gideon gave the Shadow Council was stuff that he got from her and like was known already. So it wasn't anything like, oh, how would he know the Mandalorians were coming this, that? It was all told to him, but we're like, okay, well, this specific tack, the way it goes down, like the timing, armor leaving, there must be something, right? But really, no. So that's where it's like, I guess that's the unfortunate thing where we say technically he did get all his information from her. but it's just kind of that. I feel like with a great story, you want a little bit more, right? But really, it was just exposition of she told him what happened. He said this is what's going to happen, and it happened. There was no twist, there was no reveal and stuff. And I don't think, again, it's not that it's not, oh, I wanted the armor, so I'm pissed about that. No, I think there's a potential door. I think it's just when all the other things kind of piled together of the results are all kind of ho hum, they all kind of stick out and everything like that. So, and yeah, all in the game, great point about absolutely no reaction from Ragnar about losing his dad. Yeah, there's nothing, and that's where it's just like this show just feels like, I know someone might be like, well, do you care? That's how you make you care about characters, you know. It's like, imagine somebody just have fucking Din Djarin have a scene with him talking about, like, someone informed that his dad's died, or it's like just something. And even if it's a Mandalorian kid that's gonna act like he's gonna be closed off, like, well, that's the way, like just give us some light. But it's just a nothing. So that's where it's just like, if you introduce pause that has a kid, why does it matter? What are the stakes now if the kid's there and not a single piece of dialogue? And maybe that happens next year, but it's just like, this is the episode right after his dad just got killed. Even someone just saying, hey, yeah, your dad's, like, we wouldn't be here without your dad. Like, you're
They'll
like,
tell
you're,
him in season 4. They're not telling him yet.
what? They don't even tell him at all. Like, oh, he's still out there. He's building the other side of Mandalore. But it's just like, that's just like, why this idea of like a spy, or this idea of the, like, Ragnar, you know? It's like it's like they do these things and then they just almost forget about them. And it's not multi seasons, it's episode to episode. And like, yeah, it's strange of, yeah, this kid, there's nothing to talk about this kid just losing his dad. You know, it's odd. It's odd stuff. We'll take our second ad break. We'll be right back because we still got some resolutions to talk about. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So another or do we have anything more add on the Grogu adoption scene, anything like that, in that ether?
Got to see the Mythosaur during his adoption.
Did. I thought he was gonna pop out and do something because Grogu was like staring down there. I thought he was gonna wave and something like, "Hey."
I like that they kept it mystical. It was very humbling, and the Mythosaur just chilling down there still.
Mystical. He was just asleep. He wakes up. He's gonna fucking kill those Mandalorians, you know. But no,
Ragnar.
That's next season. He just brings down Mandalore.
Mando just comes back. Everyone's dead off screen, you know. Speaking of, so it's funny because we were talking about in the Discord of like theorizing the different ways as far as how it's going to go with Moff Gideon, X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. And Taylor, I'll start with you because you were one of the people that went, I don't see Moff Gideon just like losing to Din and Bo, because we've done that before. We've been there. They've both beaten them and stuff like that. Why would we do that again? Well, we did that. And let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say this is the end of Moff. Let's say they beat him, right? Let's say he doesn't come back and they killed him. What did you think of that result for them? And like, because Bo's stuff really this episode was just action, and like we haven't talked about, I think all the action was really great in this episode. I think again, there's great battles, and this was an episode just like last week. We're like, okay, this aspect I can't wait to see when we do a Mando movie. You know, like get these Mandalorian action on the big screen, bigger budget, and just like theater speakers. Like, okay, this was, like I said, a couple episodes ago, Mando episode was fine, or action was fine. This was a home run. But and even the fight, I think between the three of them with Bo and even Grogu getting there, the force pushes, I think the final fight was good and stuff like that. But I'm going to ask you, Taylor, what do you think about it being the result? But more importantly, what do you think about the Darksabers resolution? You know, again, not even just 3 seasons. We have Clone Wars, Rebels, this artifact, especially season 1, season 2, this thing has been built up heavy. And I feel that is definitely, for the canon people, I've seen that's been a tough pill to swallow. Like, this is the potential end of that story.
So the fight between the three of them going up against
The 3-way?
Moff Gideon,
Or I guess the 4-way, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So my comments on that were, I wanted to have my expectations kind of like changed, because I felt like it's such a expected route to go that way by having Bo-Katan, having Din Djarin face off against Gideon again, and Gideon has lost to Din Djarin every point. He's lost in those climactic battles. And then I get people were all petitioning for Bo-Katan to be the one to kill him, but because it would help conclude her arc. But for me, I wasn't seeing that, because her arc completely changed when Bo-Katan, again, not Bo-Katan, Din Djarin got the dark saber from Gideon. That immediately changes that storyline dynamic between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. And Gideon is off to this wayside. The only time
they
we
fixed
learn
that storyline. Remember, he just
they
gave
do,
it
they
to her a
do,
couple
yeah. And so they change things up again when you see how Bo-Katan surrenders to Gideon and all that stuff, and in the penultimate episode of the season. But there still wasn't enough build up here, because that same episode we get like her saying, "I should have killed you when we had the chance." There was only 2 episodes that actually have Gideon and Bo-Katan in the same room that we've seen throughout 3 seasons. But everyone's talking about how, oh, this is her arc coming full circle here. She's got to kill him, when that makes no sense to me, because there's more evidence and storyline between Din Djarin and Gideon, especially because Din Djarin just destroys his clones. So I feel like, okay, if anyone's going to get that killing blow, it should have been Din Djarin. But neither of them did. It was Axe Woves that killed Gideon, no matter which way you want to say. It was Axe Woves. He crashed that light cruiser down on him and burned him. So no matter which way you paint it, like, Bo-Katan did not land that killing blow. Din Djarin didn't. It was Axe Woves.
He's gonna say he deserves the new dark saber next season.
Yeah.
Mine,
So now, when you look at that note of the dark saber, I never had that super strong of an attachment to it. I think it was very cool tie-in to the first Mandalorian Jedi back in the day, and just how it's very important for Mandalorian culture. And I totally understand there's a lot of fans in the community that would be up in arms about this, but I liked its destruction because it was very simple, very quick, and it just, to me, reflected
2 pump chump
of Last Jedi. I was half expecting Gideon to say, "Let the past die, kill it if you have to," after destroying it, but I do.
That would have took me out personally, but that's
yeah. I just feel like a lot of what they were touching upon, more so in this episode, again, was just getting into that Last Jedi-ness of Star Wars. Like
don't even compare.
No,
this is
the
nowhere near
Praetorians, the lightsaber, dark saber being destroyed. I just feel like it echoes it in certain
straight to DVD
ways.
version of Last Jedi.
So that's again, like, even well, there's not really any clone comparisons, but it just, I feel like there has that similar transcending echo aesthetic to what Last Jedi has. And is it executed like flawlessly? No, I won't say that by any means. Is it a shame to see the Darksaber gone? Definitely. But I think it goes to show, and it was foreshadowed when Din Djarin's like, "Hey, to me and my people, this Darksaber, I only know what you've told me of it. It means nothing to me and my people. What matters to us is character, loyalty, like your core values as a leader here, basically." I'm paraphrasing, of course, that part, but I think that's where the show is kind of transitioning, where they've changed how Mandalorians work, where Mandalorian is not just a race, it's like a creed, it's a people, and it's now transitioned where the Darksaber doesn't even symbolize leading Mandalore, it's your character and how you portray yourself and how you can bring people together like Bo-Katan did. So I think that's it's just a big overhaul on the Mandalorians that we've learned through the Clone Wars and Rebels. And this show has been acting as that pillar to transition that into something different. I don't know, again, what that end goal is or what their objective is for that. Maybe they don't even know. But I guess we'll see in a couple seasons from now. But ultimately, I am like semi-mediocrely satisfied about Gideon's death throughout this fight, because I believe it should have been, Thrawn, you're real. But that's my own expectation. And then I am actually more so
Thrawn doing like flashing him or something.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'm
again,
more so satisfied on the Darksaber destruction than I thought I would be.
We had that, someone threw that up in the non-spoilers, but yes, no Thrawn this episode. Thrawn is still coming 2023.
That's what you wanted, Travis. You wanted to keep using this banner until...
Yeah, I would have liked to have been right about the post-credit, but yeah, Thrawn is still coming. He didn't come this episode, and he didn't come this whole season. He hasn't come a lot of times, so hopefully he's going to come soon. But my only 2 quick points on it is like what you laid out, Taylor. That's what I think the issue is. You laid out like this theme of, hey, the Darksaber is whatnot. It shouldn't lead the people. It's a person, right? And I agree with that. And that's just where they introduce this idea. But what do? They have another character make that decision for them. It's not them with the Darksaber saying, hey, you know what? Bo-Katan, we don't care if you have the saber or not. We're going with you. And then I'm not saying she has to do a fucking Luke Skywalker and throw it over her shoulder, but the idea is like, oh, well, it was shifting this way anyways. But it's just like, it doesn't matter because Moff Gideon destroyed the lightsaber, so they had no choice in the matter. It wasn't like as a culture, they decided we're going to follow people, leaders, ideas, not just a fucking sword. But now they're just like a bunch of idiots of like, well, we lost the sword. Well, okay, I guess we're just doing this now. Like I wish it was a them choice and not just Moff destroyed it. Like
it was like for Bo-Katan it wasn't, but for the Mandalorians that followed Din Djarin in the armor, for them it was. They didn't care about the Darksaber.
Yeah, but then what about the other people? There's two equations to that, right? What about all of Bo-Katan's people that literally the beginning of the season all fucking packed up and left her because you don't have a sword? You don't have a sword that glows? We're out of here. They left her for the Darksaber. And now when she comes back without the Darksaber, we get no follow-up on it. Again, like fucking Ragnar's dad, not even like, hey, what happened? Like, what's that? Like, that should have been the idea of, hey, I lost it. Even then, Moff destroys it and she says, I lost it, I'm sorry. Like, I'm supposed to lead and I couldn't even protect this weapon. Then you have all our people be like, that doesn't matter. You've shown that, like, we were wrong before. We shouldn't have left you because of sword. We should have stuck with you. But no, it's just they're just together. What happened? Why they talk about the sword? No. And my point of like, I'm not like as attached to the sword as many other fans. I just thought it was an anticlimactic way of him just taking like and squishing it and throwing it, just like this thing that's been built up even in this show so much. But I'm someone that's watched Rebels, Clone Wars, been built up so much. I felt that to me this is worse. I don't care what people say. This is a million times worse than Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, because at least that had meaning and it led to a story that had a satisfying conclusion. This is just Moff destroyed and it was like a schoolyard bully, like I broke your shit, and we never got any talk about it again. And probably I see someone pitched, and maybe in a perfect world like IG-11 it just gets fixed and maybe that's what Grogu's rocking when he's in the Rey movie, right? I think that's the ideal thing. But for
the Rise of Skywalker, it'll be fixed in the next season, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah, it'll be like IG-11. Like it'll be oh right, Rey Saber, Anakin's all broke too. But yeah, multiple levels didn't work for me. Kirklin.
Yeah, I was like appalled, honestly, by this. I
Shut
not
your TV off mid-episode.
He still hasn't finished it.
I literally I didn't understand what happened. I rewound because I'm like what happened to the Darksaber there? I thought maybe like I don't know some sort of
angrily
God, that would have hurt me. But I thought like someone cut it somehow, but nope, just fucking his pure hand strength just crushed the Darksaber right then and there, which I guess that could be a nice badass move. But I mean, I'm someone that, like I've never seen it in any other media other than the Mandalorian show. The first time I saw it, like it just blew my mind on live action. Like I had heard of the Darksaber, definitely seen the design, and I just always thought it was super interesting, something just very different than the classic lightsaber. So I was so jazzed to finally get it here in season, like at the end of season 1, and then like I even brought it up on a previous episode. It's just like the use of it has just been so lackluster. It's as if it's like never even been in the show since that like a initial badass moment. Din was never really using it. I was very hopeful now that Bo had it, that like she's gonna be popping off a lot. There was a beautiful shot when like all the Mandalorians were using their jetpacks, she's flying in. She like had it out. I'm like, this is sick. Like I'm really loving this.
And then now it's fucking gone.
Like less than 10 minutes later, he fucking just palmed it with. I'm assuming that's his weekend too. Like, oh my God, I could not believe it. I'm like, are you serious? Like that major Mandalorian artifact is just gone now. Like gone. Like canon is destroyed now. Maybe they find a way to repair it. But I just think from start to finish, like it has just been like a decline for the Darksaber since the initial appearance of it. I am pretty upset actually that like that's just the route that they went, and it almost seems like it's like, oh, that's just, I hate having to CGI this weapon into the show. Let's just find a way to like get rid of it. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. Like, even if they had a more satisfying reason for it, kind of like what you pitched, like if Bo actually like made the decision to like, do the Rey thing where she buries it on Mandalore or something. It's like, we don't need this. Like the symbol of a leader is more than what this artifact is. But super lazy. No, the like just to get rid of it, just snap it in his hand, and that's that. It's dismantled. Hopefully nobody talks about it anymore. Like that's kind of what it
Yeah.
seemed like from their camp. So yeah, I'm pretty upset about it, and you know, if the day comes that I actually power through Clone Wars, Rebels, whatever, like the appearance of it is, I feel like it'll kind of be a little bit diminished now, just knowing like
100%.
where it ends, and
In
that's
Moss
pretty
hands.
unfortunate. Yeah, it is just such a badass looking item, and it looked gorgeous in live action, but oof.
Even then,
oof,
why didn't he just like use it as a weapon? Like, why did he crush it? Like, he's used it as a weapon before. He knows the weight of it. Why didn't he bring that into battle and like keep it after?
I think
It's
it just
like
he could have, but I think it crushed literally her hand, but it crushed Bo-Katan's spirit too, just by doing
didn't
that.
get in the
'cause-
win though. So what did it matter? They were still kicking ass and
Well,
stuff
he
like
still.
that.
I mean,
Ass
he
Rock
thought
still
it would get him
crashed
the
shit.
win. He thought it would get him the win because he just like disarmed her and destroyed her way to fight there. But again, like it's plot armor. Like you can't kill them because they're main characters, and she's like Mandalorians are stronger together. Din Djarin pops in, and Grogu pops in, and all that jazz. So just kind of adds to it. And like again, when you go through like Clone Wars and Rebels, I've seen so much of the dark saber and seeing it be used by so many different people, like Pre Vizsla, Maul, and like a Bo-Katan, Sabine
But not
Wren.
in live action. That's the
No,
thing.
not in live action. That's fair. And I think for me, I just don't I don't mind that it's destroyed. It would have been cool, and I totally agree with you, Kirkland. It should have been showcased a little bit better instead of just these training segments where Din's like, "It's too heavy."
Well, he never used it. He just didn't have the muscle mass. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lift.
The other
It's all
thing,
armor. That's like he's like just very frail man underneath all the armor.
The other thing too that's a shame, I guess, is just because I think his name's Brendan. He's the actor that plays. Is he like the stunt double for Din Djarin for
Yeah,
Pedro
Brendan
Pascal?
Wayne, yeah.
So he's the one that came out and said this episode just it hurts too much or something like that. And I think in retrospect, he's just referring to the Darksaber being destroyed. And I mean that's hurt a lot of fans, but I interpret that as something else. I'm hurt
Yeah.
because no Thrawn, so.
I'm hurt just because the writing. Yeah, it's weird that some of the cast and crew have been like, "Oh, just wait for this finale." It's like, well, I'm still waiting. Like, what was?
Yeah.
Is it? Are we still just mourning Paz? Is that it? Is that what we're all still upset about? Like, Ragnar's moved on. He's got water. He's ready to kick ass. I would have laughed if they got back there and all those same people that left Bo like left her again. Like, where's the saber? Oh, you don't have it? See ya. Because that's how they left the first time, right? And she had to beat Ass Rocks to get it. So, yeah.
I think the thing that changed for them too is they got their planet because when they were in that forge and they lit it up, I mean, Axe Wolves was chanting the loudest. Like he was rock hard on. He's like Mandalore, like just man,
rock hard.
oh yeah, like his cock was just
Dude, you
pointed
just
out
got your ass
against his
kicked.
Beskar.
Yeah. I'm trying to check my notes because I have something to talk about as far as like the ending of this because I think I know where we're going. But anything specifically shout now?
I mean, yeah, you guys already touched upon the action, but to double down on it, I do think like even just like the hand-to-hand combat sequences that Din had with those what even were they? I want to call them Dark
Praetorians.
Troopers.
No, not
like,
those.
Like,
You're talking about the hall,
the
right?
bear-
With like,
yeah, like
open
the
the door.
Imperial-
Yeah. That
yeah,
was
the
a great
Mandalorian.
scene.
and he's
Imperial
like
Super
grabbing the
Commandos.
knife and everything. It was just like,
Yeah.
man, that like I really love that sequence. And that was pretty early on in the episode, so I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be a good finale. You know, it kind of went downhill from there. But I really like the action throughout the whole thing, whether it was like the starfighters attacking like the Mandalore ship. Like I think all of that looked
didn't last
pretty
long.
damn
That was
good.
a two pump chump thing there too.
I feel like I've never seen like a big oh my gosh. Taylor, help me out. What's like the Mandalorian one that they ransacked, they spray painted it. It's like the
It was
Imperial.
light cruiser.
Yeah, like I've never seen an Imperial ship like that, light cruiser, or if it's a Star Destroyer, just get like destroyed so fast by like just laser beams. Like they didn't even have like big bombs or anything that they
It's
were
like
dropping on it.
four times smaller than a Star Destroyer.
Okay, so maybe that's what it was. But yeah, all of like the actual CGI elements of it like crashing down on Mandalore, man, that looked really good. I was very impressed by all of that action stuff.
That, like I said already, I wish we got so much more of that because seeing the whole Mandalorian fleet was just jiving with me so hard. I was loving every second of that. So when we didn't get that, it really did, stick it to me a little bit. I felt because it was cool to see him like take out a few interceptors, but it just ended super super quick. I like the transition though of the gauntlet fighters and everything just going underneath the clouds, and then right after that the TIE interceptors come out, and you just get the whole Mandalorian fleet just popping off. And I like how Bo-Katan exclaims that too, like, hey, we can't fight them in space, we got to fight them on our terms on the ground. That's where Mandalorians will obviously do better. Again, let's say, well, you said those fight sequences on the ground that were pretty cool. That armor when she's jetpacking in and she's just like, it's one thing where we saw her just smashing like the stormtroopers helmets apart, but when she's full on going like 80 miles per hour with a jetpack and her Beskar hammer smashes into a dude, like, fuck, you're toast.
Absolutely.
You're
I feel like this is the first time too I saw someone go from like a planet's surface like to space, just like with a Mandalorian like jetpack, kind of like what Asrox was doing. And like
He's
even like
going.
even like from his perspective, just like going through the clouds, like it was just really really cool shot. And I don't know, I feel like he would have been pretty warm entering that ship, just going through the atmosphere. But Star Wars science, I'll give it a hand wave.
Brilliant.
Brilliant, bloody brilliant.
You
Anything
look like
else?
you're deep focused. You found something there, Travis, doing some research.
Yeah, he was in the
No.
archives.
No, I'm not. I'm just
You're casting new one over there.
look at my notes. All of
Ragnar.
them that happened. Yeah, I'm thinking about Ragnar. Poor guy by himself. Yeah, and then we end. So yeah, they give some fucking bullshit thing of, oh, you gotta go train your apprentice. So cool, him and Grogu. And you know what? Maybe at this point, for me to enjoy the show more, let's just have the rest of the seasons be just random adventures. Just do that because you can't get to the story quality. But I don't think they're gonna do that because, gee. So he goes back to fucking that cantina place wherever Zeb was from Rebels. Zeb's not there. They didn't want to spend the budget to CGI him again. But we bump into Howdy Doody, whatever his fucking name is from all these seasons. They keep bumping into him like, oh, we're friends. We're not. It's going to be off the books. They won't like that, but not if you tell. Whatever, right? He mentions two things of doing, like, there's lots of Imperials still out there. And he mentions about, like, helping, structure or help kind of put... I don't know whatever he said, but he used the word outer regions. And also we know that's where the fucking Thrawn is or going to be, or that's where we're going to have. So I feel like that's what's going to happen is next season for season 4, you're going to get a few episodes that are just the adventure episodes. He's eventually going to maybe take down some Imperial or something like that. Moff Gideon will fucking probably come back, but he's going to take down somebody. I think that somebody will be attached to Thrawn, and that's why. Because them mentioning going after people from the Empire that are still out there and the like outer regions, to me, that is like a clear sign. Okay, that's how they're going to set it up. We get the one more season for a movie, so I think that's what we're doing. And again, that's my worry, where this was just a setup. I don't really know what the fuck this goal of was this season was. I guess just to get Mandalore back. Cool, like that was it. But just like that was the season, I guess. And to me, season 4 now is just going to be kind of similar to this filler to make sure how can we get Mando to connect with Ahsoka and Thrawn. I would love to be wrong. I hope there's a story, but I feel like season 3 was filler, and I feel like season 4 is going to be filler again of just, well, we got to get it. We can't do anything too important because we want to save that for the movie, right? Because now we got this big finale movie. So I think next year is going to be very similar as this as far as the type of episodes we get and the type of times where I don't think it's filler, but you could argue filler. So that's what I thought. And yeah, if you guys have any thoughts on the ending there, but yeah, it wasn't a great pitch for me. And yeah, fun little shot. They have a place. Grief is there, like, oh, the house, and they're living together, so that's nice. IG-11's back as a fucking sheriff. Great, like, cool, like, whatever. But yeah, the ending didn't get me hyped for the next season.
Yeah, this is what I was saying in the non-spoiler, that I was feeling actually a little bit optimistic, even after how I felt throughout this episode. I think just kind of the way that they set it up and phrased it, it's like, hey, like, we kind of not cut the tie, but like, yeah, we separated the Mandalorians on Mandalore and like the Coven and all that stuff with the armor from Din and Grogu, and now we're just kind of back to where they were in season 1. And I think that's kind of what I'm hopeful that it is more of that season 1 feel, kind of like what you're saying, like they're just kind of doing adventures, especially just like that conversation with the New Republic guy. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be doing some jobs here and there, kind of like what was going on in season 1. So I am optimistic in that sense. I still think that they will be trying to make these these big-ish plays to just spice things up. But maybe not, because I was kind of expecting some big-ish plays in this season, and it really didn't come to that. They really played it safe, and I'm hoping that maybe this show just goes through waves of hitting like big moments here and there, but then it'll kind of like once the wave hits, we get some flat shit. I don't even know what I was gonna say. Some flat shit, some calm waters. There you go.
You don't want to take a shit around here, Grief.
and I don't know, like I want to just see Mando and Grogu like interacting with various aliens across the galaxy and just people that they come across on their adventures, and that's really was like the peak of the show for me, just them going through that stuff. Maybe like the lead up to like the first initial big moments, but yeah, I'm kind of happy the way that it's set up there. And as the episode was going on too, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna see Grief in this episode. It's kind of sad. And then sure enough, like as soon as I said that, it was just like him super jazzed. He finally gets Mando to accept the deed to his house.
I've been drinking some of that Coruscant wine. You want to join me, Mando?
Yeah,
I'm gonna fuck that droid later. Yeah, we must go get more of it.
So yeah, I'm maybe cautiously optimistic is a better way to phrase heading into next season. I don't have like major expectations because of kind of like the way that this season went, but may help the way I feel about when we get that first season 4 information or trailers or all that jazz. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it's not like it ended with like Moff Gideon like crawling away like Anakin on fire or something. And it's like, oh,
I hate you.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
just saying that to his other clones.
I'm kind of expecting that though, because like when we were talking about Moff Gideon, it's like, oh yeah, I'm 100% expecting him to be back, but I'm glad it's not like, yeah, can't you wait till Moff Gideon's back? It's like, just let me forget about this for a little bit, you know. So,
Get Snoke appearing. There he is. He's still alive.
with like just a bunch of Moff Gideon clones, like those are like the troopers that are going to collect his body.
Oh god. Shout out to Eddie in the chat here. They parked Mando and Grogu in the perfect place. They can do surprise appearances in other shows. That's exactly what I feel like right now. I do think.
But on the other end, I
Ahsoka-
hope we don't get this. Man, we'll have full 2 episodes in Ahsoka calling
But I
it.
wouldn't put it past them at this point. Like,
No.
I mean, we got a full Luke-centric episode in the Book of Boba Fett. The last place I thought you'd get that. So I really do think now, like, you could see it, like, Ahsoka's gonna need like that help. Like, hey, I need Grogu, I need Mando, a couple of bounty hunters to help me out with this mission here, and then you get Mando and Sabine Wren dialogue.
I'll say it's not happening. I don't think Mando's gonna be Ahsoka. That's my prediction.
Really?
Barring end credit. That's what I'd say. Yeah, because I just feel like that show has so much going on already to do a Mando cameo.
But
Mando
this is
supporting
leading
role.
towar's Filoni's movie that has.
But we still
it's
got-
going to be in the Mandoverse. That's
Yeah,
called.
but we haven't been confirmed, but Favreau said he's already written season 4 for this, and at Celebration they pretty much hinted that Ahsoka is going to be at least 2 seasons. So I feel like you still got 2 seasons of TV, and that's where I feel like Mando's starting to get more connected with Thrawn. That's my theory of next year. That's when I could see it happening for Ahsoka season 2 or Mando season 4 with Ahsoka coming back. I think this year for Ahsoka is going to be primarily to set up her as a character, the Rebels characters, Thrawn, like really get people that don't know about that world in there.
So
You
think
could make
Mando
the
would
argument.
be a season 2 of Ahsoka.
That's what I think.
appearance?
So yeah, closer to the movie because the movie's still I think and again this writer strikes happens. These movies that are fucking finally 2025. That's gonna push down at least a year or 2. So now we're so fucking close to getting movies. The strike's gonna happen, and I'm all for the strike. The writers need to get paid if they don't feel they're getting compensated. And fucking, I think it's like 95% of them voted for strike. Clearly, that means majority of the writers agree that hey, we're not getting paid what we deserve.
Well,
I'm all for that, but that's where
said
once it happens,
They said the script for the Rey movie is pretty much done, right? So they can continue on without
pretty
the
much.
writers?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
not exactly. No, it can like delay everything. I can't remember what it happened in that time. It was like 108 days. Everything got delayed. The writer strike in 2007, and there's tons of things like there's a whole Justice League movie that got canceled because of that. Like that's that one that George Miller was making where. Armie Hammer was cast as Batman and stuff like that, but the writer strike happened, movie died, and that's where
Well,
I don't
let's
think these
get-
will die, but these will be pushed down the line now. So
Let's get in there. I mean, if these writers are going on strike and don't want to get paid, then let's put our potential in there.
Just be scabs. Just like I'll work for I won't strike.
well, it will happen. It will because they will do that. But no, that I did think about that today. I'm like, man, if that happens, Taylor, you gotta get in your filming shit. That's where we gotta have our movies ready to go because people are gonna want some content. Hey, GeekVerse movies, we got them. You know, we're not a part of the WGA and stuff like that. So yeah.
Not yet.
not not yet. So, yeah.
You predicted no Mando and Ahsoka, but what about a side character like Ragnar?
Oh, Ragnar for sure. Yeah, I think there's gonna be a big love interest with him and Ahsoka as well. Ragnar.
Oh no.
Yeah,
He's gonna be just super jacked next
Oh,
time
yeah.
we see him. Just
played by Jason Momoa. Like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
you're Ahsoka. I'm
Like
Ragnar.
helmet, but like that's it. Like the Khal Drogo outfit.
Yeah,
Other than that.
and his hair goes down. Like his hair is long enough, man. But and like you could see Jason Momoa playing a guy called Ragnar. Like you'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, that's Ragnar. So yeah,
I would have
that's my
assumed that was his
prediction.
name if I didn't know his name was Jason.
Yeah, Ragnar Momoa. That's probably he probably has a brother named that. So
Just to touch upon the whole climactic ending, I saw a few people say this, and I said in the Discord to reiterate it. It felt like a series finale more than a season finale.
Yeah.
Like really, really closed it off and wrapped it up with a bow. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but again, no post-credit scene or anything like that. So it definitely was. This is the only part of the episode to me that felt rushed because he arrived in Navarro. Grief dropped the keys in his hand, and then he's just kicking back. And I felt like this is like
these
a
are
suburban
for my
dad.
house.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine that man who goes to his new suite and like Grief didn't tell him that Grief is also living there. Like, oh, I'm so glad you're home, Mando. And it's like
Just butt ass naked.
Wearing an apron.
with the helmet. Oh, you're late. This is from the Great Paz Vizsla, I heard, eh? It's mine now.
Cracked into the Coruscant wine.
Yeah, he just has a wine glass, Mando helmet on, butt ass naked, just like, oh, Mando, you're my favorite. Look, IG-11's back
Jeez.
as well.
That's the High Magistrate of this planet.
All right, let's fuck now.
That-
Take off your clothes.
The IG-11, that was something that I think we all kind of thought about
Yeah.
him coming back as the Marshal too. So again, now my Black Series figure is valid again because we went to IG-12. Now I got my IG-11. So
Well, I
He's
feel like
back
you're
in
gonna
the
get a
game.
new. I feel like
oh yeah,
you
we'll get
an
IG-11 Marshal of Navarro version.
Yeah,
so
and I feel
I'll
like
have
why
to
not
get
a?
that.
You probably would get a 12, wouldn't you, with a little Grogu in there?
There's no way they'll pass up an opportunity to sell that for
Okay.
sure.
I was like,
they
what are
love
you
to
saying
sell
no
the
way to?
Grogus.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which that to me was like I said last week. I was already over it. I was done with IG-12 at this point. The
Yeah.
no's, the yeses. It was. I got tired of it real fast. So it was not as funny as for me that I think that they thought it was. So
Yeah, like last week's episode, I really liked it initially, and then the more it went on, I didn't love it. I did not laugh like a single moment on any of the no's or yeses in this. It's just like,
in there, lighting
okay,
a
I'm ready
cigarette,
to.
just
Did Shay laugh?
No. She did. I don't know. I feel like most of the comedy too was used last week. It was mostly just like the annoying no's or yeses, which if you really love that, you got some more of it here. But
Mhm.
I'm glad it did not live on past this season.
Anything else about this season?
I got
Yeah.
the ChatGPT summary here. Whenever
How
you guys are
long
ready.
is it? What is this?
It's
summer
not
again?
long. It's not long.
What was
So
this
it's the finale. The finale written for a season 3 of Mandalorian.
Oh, so you told to write the Mandalorian season 3 finale.
I wrote in write me a detailed season 3 finale for Star Wars: The Mandalorian.
Okay, give it to us.
Okay. Note: this answer contains spoilers for season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Oh,
Uh,
good. That's nice.
Yeah. So, the third season of The Mandalorian has been full of surprises, action, and emotion. As the finale approaches, tensions are high, and the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The
It
episode
does it.
opens with the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, and his team of allies, including Boba Fett, Cara Dune, and Grief Karga.
wait,
wait,
no,
wait,
Cara
wait.
Dune.
Cara
Cara
Dune's
Dune.
back. She's back.
I want to see that version. You got Boba Fett.
And what's her
Djarin.
name? Carla.
Cara-
What was her real name
Car-
again?
Cara Dune and Grief Karga.
No. What was her real name again in real life with the actress? Gina Carano, right?
Yeah,
There you go.
In the middle of these major accusations, they bring back Gina Carano for the finale.
She'll
Fuck.
save the show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cara Dune's back. That's great.
Cara
They can
Dune's
do
back.
Rangers of the Republic now.
Yeah, that's all green lit. So they're
Water
preparing
under
for
the
their
bridge.
final assault on Moff Gideon's stronghold. They have a
Okay,
plan to
okay.
rescue Grogu, the child who has been captured by Gideon and taken to
Shit,
an unknown location.
Unknown.
Yeah, unknown. As they
Even though
make
they're
their
at the stronghold. Okay.
They're at the stronghold. As they make their way through the fortress, they encounter fierce resistance from stormtroopers and other Imperial forces, but the Mandalorian and his team fight their way through using their skills and weaponry to overcome the enemy. Finally,
This does sound like the way fucking Favreau writes. It's fucking scary. Like it sounds
was
like a
his first
Mandalorian
pitch.
episode. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Finally, they reach Gideon's inner sanctum, where they find the Moff waiting for them with a squad of his best soldiers.
Of course.
Gideon reveals that he has a new weapon, a dark saber that can cut through anything, including the Beskar armor worn by the Mandalorian.
Pause. I would love if he did that, because like he's a clone and he doesn't know any better. But they're just like yeah, we fucking know what it does. Like, no, you don't understand. This will cut through
explaining the whole thing,
Beskar. Yeah, like everything. Like it'll take your armor down, and like, or even better yet, if he's not the cloned version and he's just explaining this again. But okay, continue. So they're standoff. He has a new weapon called the Darksaber. Okay.
A fierce battle ensues with the Mandalorian facing off against Gideon, while his allies take on the Imperial troops. The two warriors clash with their weapons, the Darksaber sparking against the Mandalorian's Beskar spear. So he's got the spear still. So he didn't
He
dispose of the spear.
decapitates Din Djarin.
So at last the Mandalorian gains the upper hand and disarms Gideon. This is my favorite part. But before he can claim the Darksaber, a new enemy enters the fray, none other than Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Thrawn picks up the lightsaber and
So I'm already on board for this rewrite here. Thrawn, a brilliant strategist and mastermind of the Empire, has been hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. He reveals that he has been behind the capture of Grogu all along, hoping to use the child's connection to the Force to further his own plans for galactic domination.
Okay.
Thrawn orders his troops to attack. A massive battle breaks out. The Mandalorian and his allies fight bravely, but they are outnumbered and outgunned. Now, get ready. Are you ready? Are you?
I'm ready.
Oh, what's gonna happen?
Just when all hope seems lost, a group of unexpected allies arrives. A fleet of New Republic ships led none other by than Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. So this is 1 to 100. We're getting everything.
It's the most expensive finale on Disney Plus.
They're way over budget. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Way over budget.
We gotta do this. We gotta make this a segment on GB. My God. Oh,
So-
Luke Skywalker back in the fray. Shit.
Luke wields his green lightsaber with skill and precision, cutting through the Imperial forces like a hot knife through butter. That's what it wrote here.
Nice description.
Yeah, very nice description. With Luke's help, the Mandalorian and his team are able to turn the tide of the battle. Thrawn is defeated, and the Empire suffers a crushing defeat.
So that's it. Taylor, would you like that if Thrawn came in for like just 10
Yeah.
minutes of an episode
10
and then
minutes only.
and already defeated by Luke Skywalker?
Reveals he was here behind the scenes the whole time. Gideon's just out at this point.
Yeah, he's not the real threat.
He's not the real
Even
threat.
though they're at his stronghold.
Yeah. So then we have with Luke's help. In the aftermath of the battle, the Mandalorian is finally reunited with Grogu, who has been safely rescued. Luke reveals that he has come to offer the child a place in his new Jedi Academy.
Again.
Again, yeah. And the Mandalorian
One more
must-
chance.
One more chance.
You better take it, you green fuck.
The Mandalorian must make a difficult choice: to part ways with his beloved ward, or to join the fight against the Empire and continue on the path of the warrior. The season ends on a bittersweet note, with the Mandalorian bidding farewell to Grogu and setting off on a new adventure, determined to protect the galaxy and defend those he loves. There you go.
Again. They make the decision again. They did the whole scene. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
like I gave it a quick read through, like when we started, and just the part where it's like the fleet with Luke Skywalker shows up. I was like, whoa.
That's incredible. Oh my god. I think what we gotta do now is when we do prediction episodes, we should put this part in a segment where we should say like what's gonna happen in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Like we should do that going forward and have like even as a cutout, because man, that was too fun. Yeah. Yeah, no, that might be an after 9 thing too. The book of Boba Fett. We might just like one time do an hour, take some ideas because fuck, that was good. Also, they all can't be winners, but yeah, that fleet led by Luke Skywalker.
And when you said Thrawn was lurking in the shadows, all I thought of was this.
Oh shit! Just crawling around.
That version of Thrawn, yeah.
Okay, let's take our last ad break, and then we're gonna rate this season and our final thoughts. We'll be right back. Oh my god. Okay, I'll go first because I imagine probably the lowest score. I'm of two minds this. I feel very similar to Rise of Skywalker, where it's tough that the score in my mind's always going to jump all over the place depending on the watch, the week, stuff like that. It's not like Boba, where it's like, oh, that's clearly a fail, or there's not like other seasons where it's like, okay, they have issues with it, but it's been lots of likes, so I can give it a easy pass. This is tough for me. So the best way I can say is like a cop-out. I've done this before, is like if I'm looking at this as like a, the objective side, or not objective, like just like the quality side. I don't know from a writing standpoint, a story, anything like that, if I could pass it, but there's great moments. There's some great action in there. There is some fun things. So it's still like enjoyable to an extent, but it is just very kind of just all right. It's that unfortunate thing where there's just moments instead of stories and characters and development. It's just, oh, that's cool, like it's a cool Star Wars thing to watch. But as like I said, dialogue between characters, exposition, setting up lore, so we talk about what fucking this adoption thing, and that happens all throughout the season. Plus I don't care, those fucking that terrible episode with the cameos. The episode was fine, but Jack Black and Lizzo, that deserves a fail nonetheless. So I think I'm a 6, and I think that's the lowest thing I've given a Star Wars thing, other than like the prequels and Boba Fett. Everything else has usually been like 7 or higher. So this was close. And honestly, this is something that maybe if I ever do rewatch it, maybe it will be a fail. I was close to giving it like a 4.9 or a 5, but there's still stuff like this episode where I'm bummed out by a lot of stuff, or I was disappointed in how they executed it. But the fight scenes are great, so it's fun to watch there and stuff, right? So, and this episode had like 20 minutes of action, right? So it's like a lot of stuff done well. So that's kind of where I am, a 6. I really hope for season 4 it's not a filler. I hope they fucking bring it. Even if it's just 8 episodes of, hey, it's just Grogu and Din doing some adventures, catching bounties, then make those fucking great episodes. Let's get some, like, I know some people are mixed on it, but like last season, I guess last season we got like them going to that ice planet, right? And all these like creature stuff. Like, I want that, where let's go different locations, different enemy types, different planets. Like, let's have some fun with it. And if you're gonna do an actual story, like you kind of tried to do with season 2, and I think you tried to do here but failed, just make it more succinct. Don't make it sound like the fucking the GPT like version, like it didn't exactly like that, but pretty similar. So yeah, I'm a 6 out of 10. I don't think it would never go higher. It would only go lower. So I'll give it a pass for now. Still like it, but this was a big disappointment for me, unfortunately, this year. So Kirklin, where are you?
I'll go next. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10, which is pretty low compared to like I feel like where I was, especially following last week's episode. Like I was really riding a high. Thinking back on the season, yeah, I really disliked some moments of the season for sure. Like the what was his name, Pershing, the doctor episode. Pershing. I hated that one. I hated the spy character. I couldn't believe what I was watching when I was watching it. But
she's sticking around. Here we are.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see her again. Yeah. I did really like the action throughout the entire season. I really like seeing Bo-Katan showcased a lot. I've really grown to like that character a lot. So I think like those moments was actually making me probably going like a 7.5. But I like something with the Darksaber, that's almost like inexcusable for me. Of just like you introduce this like super badass artifact and they just never really play with it at all, and it really just seems like it's easier for writing wise if we just leave it out of the show, so we're gonna do that. And I hate that idea that was actually the decision. Moff Gideon just fell really flat as the main villain. The whole clone thing was very flat. And like the thing too with like Din, I still think that I do like the character, but he's just, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh here. But like from where we were in like season 1, when he's dropping lines like I could bring you in hot or I can bring you in cold, and it's like holy fuck, this guy is a badass. He's a bounty hunter in the galaxy. He's kicking ass. To now he's just like buddying up with all these robots, and he's just like, oh R5, come on buddy, I need you. And it's just like it's a very different Din, which he is growing and changing as an individual. Like he's come from a place where he really distrusted droids. But I still think that I'm not completely satisfied with like the growth yet. I feel like I haven't seen enough for him to be like buddy with all these droids now. And I think with the pace of the show, I think they still could have gone a little bit slower with that route. It's not a big thing by any means, but it is just a couple things thinking about the character of Din and from where he was in the beginning. And I do think it is very like savable, at least for my own opinion there, for the character of Din, because this season there was a lot going on with different characters, so he did take a lot more of a backseat compared to where he was in other seasons. And you know, I am still interested in his dynamic with Grogu, but yeah, I lower than I was expecting. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna be dropping below a 7 by any means, but yeah, so like stuff like the Darksaber stuff with like the whole Gideon thing and just certain things that it just seemed like they really glossed over just for the sake to get us to a destination. I don't know, maybe I got to be a little bit harsher on my Star Wars rating. I have so much love and fondness for the series, but I don't know, I think they need some criticism when they don't do it perfectly. Maybe not perfectly, maybe that's a little harsh.
Mr.
Yeah. So I'd probably feel confident giving this an 8 out of 10. There's a lot more here that I liked, but it's definitely a lower note than I wish I could remember what I rated season 2. But I'm assuming that I rated season 2 higher than an 8 out of 10. This is definitely beneath season 2 because I feel like we got a lot of cool one-off episodes. We got a lot of cool sequences. We got again Luke Skywalker, we got Ahsoka, we got so much that popped off in that season. With this, there was a lot that I felt like it didn't deliver, but it's hard to kind of come off of such a high note like that season 2 was. I'm basing this 8 out of 10 completely unbiased as well for my love of Thrawn and not getting Thrawn in this season. Things that I genuinely did love was the sequel trilogy homage that this season had.
Homage?
Homage? I think it's homage, isn't
Homage.
Homage. Francais long.
Getting to see that Shadow Council, the Imperial stalking, that was just purely wonderful. I loved all of that. Getting to see more of like the Rebels connections in here and like the Purgils and everything. So there's lots of cool things they touched upon that I really did appreciate, but it's nowhere near a fail for me. So it's not right near that perfect margin either. There's a few things I would have loved to have seen changed, but I'm basing this off of an unbiased opinion and just purely from an entertainment standpoint. I've rewatched a lot of these episodes again. Like we got some of the best stuff that I've yet to see before, like modern day Clone Wars per like Order 66 stuff, which is absolutely incredible. Lots of things that I would happily will never forget, and I will rewatch again and again and again. At some point, I'm going to plan to rewatch this season when get my dad to come over and be like, all right, we're on here because we've watched Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, not Andor. We started a couple episodes, but we've watched everything else, so this is the next one.
Fuck this Pershing episode. Can we skip it, Taylor? No, Dad, you gotta watch it. It's really important.
He's got to watch all of
Cue
it.
to 4 hours later, Moff Gideon. I want the Force. Did I have to watch it, son? Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have done it. We have reviewed Mandalorian Season 3. Thank you to everyone that stuck with us, listened to all these episodes. As usual, I feel like Star Wars ones, we have some fun on them, whether they're good, bad, or in the middle. And yeah, we'll be back for Ahsoka. That's going to be happening in August now, right? That's the date, I'm pretty sure. So We'll be back for that. That's gonna be fun. We got Jedi's, we got Siths. We will actually have, Thrawn 2023, Thrawn Watch 2023. Thrawn will be coming in August, so and technically there'll be a trailer where he'll be coming. So we're gonna cover every time that Thrawn comes, we'll be covering it. So thank you very much for tuning in. Won't be boring. Next time you hear from us on Ahsoka and the Star Wars stuff, and it won't be boring. I said that already. May the Force be with you.